our plenary sessions. Thank you. For the commencement of plenary session, may I now request the session chair and the session secretary of this session. Please welcome in your huge round of applause the Honorable Session Chair, Professor Dr. Julie de Irkman from our very own French country, Turkey. In your huge round of applause. May I now request the Honorable Session Secretary, in your huge round of applause, please welcome Professor Dr. Shiraz Memon. Thank you, sir. Madam, you have the floor now.
Thank you. In this plenary session, we have a total 11 presentations. Each presentation time is for 15 minutes. The first keynote speaker is Dr. Mushtaq Memon. Dr. Memon is working with the United Nations Environment Program as a regional coordinator for resource efficiency in Asia Pacific office located in Bangkok. He is supporting resource efficiency, sustainable development, sustainable consumption and production, green economy, green financing, sustainable public procurement, sustainable tourism, sustainable industries, and various areas for Asia and the Pacific. Please welcome in a huge round of applause, Dr. Mushtaq Memon.
No, thank you. Assalamu alaikum. And thank you very much for inviting me. And this was quite a short notice, but I'll try to make few points, very important points, because I say that on the one hand, we are, as a United Nations, we are working with the intergovernmental processes, including the Conference of the Parties, and then, sorry, for the climate change, for biodiversity, and so on. We have multilateral environmental agreements. And on the other hand, we are working with the national governments through the UN country teams to support the national implementation. And on then also we have some of the ground implementation as one of our previous projects here on the West Agriculture Biomass to Energy with Dr. Mayer. So, but the context here is that what does it mean by research that helps this global, national, and local implementation of, let's say, sustainable development goals or climate change actions or the nature and biodiversity loss reversal or the pollution actions. So in that context, let me first put from the Quran Sharif that in Surat Al-Arf, Allah says, eat and drink, but waste not by excess. For Allah loved not the wasters. So the first point is that we should not waste, whether be energy, whether be water, whether be food, whether be our minerals, anything. So that is the first starting point was for the circular economy, that we should not waste anything. We should try to retain it in our economy as much as possible. And number two was efficiency, that how efficiently we can use anything. Suppose 1 ton of aluminum. Now you mine, you produce aluminum. And the purpose for that 1 ton of aluminum is to support the transport, mobility. Now, if that 1 ton of aluminum can go to the private car, and that private car, maybe let's say I own private car, which it's let's say 99% time of idle, like I use from office to home, and that's it, like 2 kilometers. So 4 kilometers a day, for example. And same aluminum can go to the another car that is being used by the Grab car share. And that's running whole day and bringing like 3-4 passengers every time. So let's say it's a 200 kilometers passenger journey per day and so on for 10 years. And my car maybe 5 years, only 4 kilometers a day passenger. Then same aluminum can go to the public transport, a bus. And you can imagine how you can increase. So this efficiency, and same goes with the energy, that when you change from the fluorescent to the LED, you are basically using reduced energy for same level of your lighting needs. So point is that how you control your waste, how you increase your efficiency, that is the whole point of the circular economy, that how you design based on the life cycle, let's say of this aluminum, or even on the food, water, anything. So suppose a water, like 100 cubic meters of water, how much that can go for your, let's say, industrial use, agriculture use. So if you have efficient systems, on the one hand, that you can grow more agriculture with the same water, not only by using that water, but also retaining that water again and again through the wastewater reuse and so on and so forth, like rainwater. It goes to the waste unless you retain, you properly manage it. Same with the energy. Now, because this is about the energy, so you can think about the energy sources. Okay, we have hydro sources, we have fossil fuels, now we have a solar energy, and so on. Again, let's come to the solar energy, talk of the town. Now, as Dr. Shiraz mentioned, I also support the sustainable public procurement. The misconceptions that solar energy is a good thing is not true unless it is done well. How? Suppose how the solar panels are produced, how the batteries are produced, what is their efficiency, what is their life, how these are being operated, maintained, what happens to the e-waste. So otherwise it can create bigger hawk like plastics. It's still one of the wonderful inventions in the world, but how the plastic pollution is now becoming one of the major issues along with the climate change, all the marine environment, life over the land, the floods, the sewerage systems, everything, plastics has become a big plight. And with the COVID, you saw the mask, everything. So the whole point is now these 2 points, do not waste, increase the efficiency. Now, how you put this in a research, and then you create an interface that policymakers, technology providers, business models, they are based on your research findings. That is the main point for that. So on that note, let me quickly go through this presentation, which anyway I have left with the organizers, so they can pass on to you. But the point is that you look at that how this concepts of a circular economy is supporting the sustainable development goals. So now in Asia Pacific, if you look on the SDGs, they are not doing well, all 17 SDGs. All these indicators, again, each SDG, you will find mainly red, yellow, and mostly gray, means no data even available. Green, hardly you can see the green ones, where we are on any of the SDGs. And you look on that in the different parts of Asia Pacific sub-regions, some of the SDGs are regressing even. not only on the stand still, but they are regressing. Suppose United Nations Environment, we lead on SDG 12, sustainable consumption and production, which covers almost everything, whether you be an energy, food, plastics, minerals, you name it, all the resources we utilize, how sustainably we produce, how sustainably we consume, and that's the whole point of a circular economy. And you can see all the SDGs are in a danger. Only few are on track, not excessive even. This is this 2020 data from the Asia Pacific. Now, the whole point here is in this, if you look on the, I don't know if this works, but if you look on the center, you can see that 50% of the world resources are utilized by Asia Pacific. And then 32% is our contribution to the GDP. So how inefficient we are. But then if you go to within the countries, further down in the, here, the big, you can see the Mongolia. And then very small, you can see Japan, the efficiency for per dollar capita on that. So if you look on the Mongolia, it's a primary industry, mining. And Japan is now moving very fast to the tertiary, and even there, all the manufacturing is going outside Japan. So that's where their GDP is highly efficient in terms of resources consumed. So how you bridge the gap, that is a research point, that how you bring the Mongolia to the level of Japan, and so on. And then number two, we look at the why this inefficiency. Middle income is increasing, as we all know. With the middle income, affordability is mainly for the mass consumerism. With our food, like a wastage, our mobile phones, we are changing the everything. So if it's a very rich, they go for the branded and they invest for life. If they are quite poor, they go for the basic necessities. So this middle income is pushing the mass consumerism, and that is putting a lot of pressure on the resources and inefficiencies and so on. And that's how you can see that how the resource or excavation, the minerals are increasing. So here. Now this concept of circular economy, that input output flows, that how much output in terms of waste, in terms of pollution and so on, and what is, as I mentioned, 1 ton of aluminum or 1 kg of rice, how far it can go, it depends on how our circular economy systems are there, and same with the water, and same with the energy, and so on. And then, as I say, the waste was the starting point. The waste generation is huge, but on the top in many countries, waste is not huge. Like in Pakistan, per capita waste generation may be much lesser than even 1 kilogram per capita. But you see, it's the worst here than, let's say, Japan, where the waste generation is 1.2 or even 1.5 kg per capita because of the littering. How we litter, how our practices are, how our waste is collected, and how are these things, whether we are responsible citizens or not. So again, the research question is why we litter, why other countries, they do not litter, whether it's enforcement and so on. So the point was that waste material, like Dr. Meher is being now known as the finding the gold in the waste. So that is where the whole point is, that waste material is a very, very important, is a material management, not a waste management anymore. So when we look on this history of pollution management and coming to the circular economy, initially from the pollution abatement and so on, the whole point is leapfrogging. How you learn from other countries on the policies, on the technologies, business models. So you don't have to take long journeys as Japan took, for example. Same with the environmental Kuznets curves and so on. So this leapfrogging is a very important research question, that how you can adopt, because you cannot simply copy and paste. You have to adopt to the local situations, and you have to create the enabling environment for that, how it can happen in that way so you can leapfrog. That's another research question for you. And then life cycle, as I mentioned, that how you design let's say what type of polymers we are using in plastics, what type of products out of those polymers are here, and how those products are being used, like a single use and so on, multiple use, and how these being are discarded, what is happening to that. So that's a big research, same with the energy and so on. So you can look into that. And as I say that recycling and waste material is the least preferred method, because you lose all the embedded values. You lose all the labor, you lose all the carbons, you lose all the energy, all the water into that. So how you can really retain that, that means you have a longevity and so on. That's another research question to look into that. And so as we go, as I already talked about the sustainable public procurement for the plastics and so on. So that's where the e-waste is there, another huge, because energy is about the e-waste, like when you are moving from the, let's say 2-star energy savers, refrigerators to the 5 stars, fluorescent to the LEDs, what happens to the e-waste? What happens to the ozone, because there's ODS like there and so on. So that's a lot of e-waste related with the energy. That's where the circular economy is there. And then also we are looking for the, how you work together, because this institutes research, how you work with the governments, how you work with the businesses, how the interface can work. So that is very important to look into that. And that's where we are like now creating the circular economy for Asia Pacific Sea, circular cities, and circularity and youth as you are. And that's where I hope we can like more partnerships with universities and so on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Our next key speaker is Amjad Ali Awan. He is a senior government functionary of Pakistan who has been working on leadership roles for more than 25 years. He has a rich and diversified academic background in engineering, public policy, management, and business administration, extended across prestigious national and global institutions of MIT and Harvard in USA. He is leading Punjab Public Private Partnership Authority, Government of Punjab as a Chief Executive Officer. Please welcome Mr. Amjad Awan. He will be delivering his keynote speech on energy security dilemma of Pakistan and the sustainable way out.
Honorable ladies and gentlemen, I am feeling really proud to be here, and not first time. I've been before here on the same occasion, event in 2018 and before. And I truly congratulate the Mehran University authorities for organizing this kind of event in Jamshoro especially. And that clearly shows that Mehran University is actually resonating with the themes of the world, how the world goes. Now, the green technologies, green energy, the term like decarbonizing the economy are the buzzwords in the world, and sustainable development as well. So this is how we are in the mainstream. This, you can say this is a fresh romance of the earth and the policymakers and their powers with the renewable energy and green technologies. Many of the researchers sitting over here may be agreeing with me that the world is right now, the world we know today, is going through some changes, some big shifts, not only in the political side, in the economic side, but also in the science and technology, and even in anthropology. The systems are changing. And one such big change that we are experiencing at the global level is the global energy transformation. That means now your choice of energy source is linked with the climate change, is linked with the economic development, is linked with the water and food security as well. So many of the countries are now pursuing their energy security themes. And one way of energy transformation we can explain just like that, it's actually teaching you, it's shaping our responses and approach towards sustainable energy choices and our responses towards sustainability and more specifically the energy security. Unfortunately, energy security, the term, the definition itself is evolving. So there is no finite definition that I can spell out that that's the ultimate. It's still evolving, but in today's presentation, I will try best to give you some plausible definitions of energy security to understand the concept. And more or less, the concept of energy security is very expansive, is I think, is spread across a vast canvas in the world. It has a geostrategic side, it has a supply chain side, it has a management side, and even it has an engineering side as well. So all these are the dimensions of energy security. If we want to grasp this subject, then we had to see this subject through different lenses, as I mentioned today. And my overall outlook with respect to energy security is the outlook of a practitioner and a researcher as well. I've seen the things, I've met the things with the federal government, provincial government, how the concerns of energy security is haunting us, and how we are doing good things or making mistakes. So my outlook is more or less is a practical, whatever I've seen, whatever I have observed. In the light of my experiences and observations, some slides I would like to show to you. As I mentioned, we had to devise some plausible definitions of energy security. One such definition is the definition from the World Energy Council. It's an assurance that energy will be available in the quantities and qualities required under given economic conditions. The sustainability is very much embedded in this definition because we are not only talking about the quantities, but the qualities. What we mean by the quality we mean is we had to meet our energy demand in such a way with low finance, low cost, low level of imports, low carbon crunch, with high social impact and high economic value. So the concept of sustainability is very much hidden inside that. But this definition is not finite. It's only talking about the economic conditions, given economic conditions. It's not talking about the future. Moving towards the next definition, the Barton law, there's a famous definition of energy security, is a condition in which a nation, all or most of its business citizens and business have access to sufficient energy resources at reasonable price. The focus is not on quality. The focus is on the access to sufficient energy resources. And the only one constraining factor mentioned over here, and that is the cost. That whatever you do in terms of meeting your energy demand, it should be low cost. It's not talking about the environmental aspects, other things. Second important thing in this definition is actually bracketing the concept of energy security in the national perspective. It's talking about the achievement of national energy security by a country or its businesses. But today, Barton himself was critical on his own definition when he said that global energy security is actually a global concept. Energy security is now crossing the boundaries of nations. It's a global concept. So while meeting the pros and cons of these both definitions, we can transcribe a third definition. And that's very important to understand. It's about attainment of certain safe status by a country in a foreseeable time frame. For example, for the next 20 years, 30 years talking about, where existing and future energy demand appears to satisfy each other. It's not talking about today's energy demand, is talking about the future energy demand in a given foreseeable time frame. Means energy security is not only meeting today's demand, it's all about meeting the future's demand. Irrespective of putting any extra burden on its growing economy. That means the constraining factors that I mentioned over here are the financial, ecological, and social. In your growing economy, if you want to meet your energy demand in a sustainable way, in a given and future perspective, you had to take consideration of financial, ecological, and social cost. That's very important. And last, free from the risk of the major disruption of service. So it's talking about the supply chain issues as well. The supply chain of energy should be maintained. There should not be any disruption due to some reasons. Okay, what are the critical factors? You see in the definition behind, three key critical factors are there. The first, the leading factor is the supply-demand symmetry in a given time frame. It's all about security of supply. If you want to explain energy security, it's more or less security of supply. And the constraining factors are two, the cost and the risk. In that definition, previous definition, these three factors are actually interplaying the key role. The lead concern is security of supplies. Constraining factor is the cost in terms of financial things, in terms of ecological impact, and in terms of its social impact. And we had to take care about another constraining factor, that is risk. And risk is the operational risk and the supply chain risk. So this is all about energy security for from the point of view of understanding the concept of energy security. Okay, now the key and the lead factor is supply-demand symmetry. How can we achieve the supply-demand symmetry in a practical way? There are some areas. First of all, we had to have adequate demand forecast. We must be knowing that in the future, what will be the demand level, and not only in the power sector, but across energy sector in 4 years, 5 years, 10 years. So you must have a right forecast of demand. Then demand side management. Okay, you give tariff incentive to your consumers. For example, in the evening, the energy load is too high, so you create a disincentive of higher tariff to the consumers, so they avoid using electricity in the evening. That's an incentive we can do in that demand side management. Or energy efficiency. Then design the most suitable mix of primary energy supplies and designing a sustainable and affordable electricity mix. And there are two key considerations that we have to follow: less imports and less hydrocarbons. So whatever the energy supply we are going to demand in future, there are two principles that we have to follow: is less imports, less hydrocarbon, and design your energy supplies or energy mix in such a way. Then the risk-free forward energy contract. If you know your demand right now, if you know the demand 4 years, 5 years ahead, do the forward contracts right now. If you need LNG for the next 5 years, 10 years, do the forward contracts now. Otherwise, with every new year, its cost is going to be increased. Or create a wholesale electricity market in the country so that you must be prepared to meet your future demand in next. And then the energy investment policies. By investment policy, I mean, if there is a demand, if there is a gap in the local market, then you must have adequate energy investment policy to procure right investment for the right kind of projects. And finally, the Indianization of energy supply chain. Most importantly, Pakistan is right now more than relying 50% of the imports. We have to create a local supply chain of electricity in the country. That should be the target, and in such a way you can meet your energy security demands. Now, analyzing Pakistan's energy and power scenario. Look at this. In terms of the meeting the supply and demand, okay, these are the figures I have taken from the Energy Information Administration USA and reference years of 2019. Production of petroleum products 0.208 quadrillion BTU, consumption 0.989, shortfall is 0.789. 0.789 is the quadrillion BTU shortfall in the petroleum side. In the case of renewables, production and consumption almost meet because we have a small footprint of renewables. In dry gas, production is 1.165, consumption 1.482. There is a shortfall. Take it from other point of view. Okay, production of dry gas is 1344 BCF, consumption is 1708 BCF, and our reserves are just 21 tera cubic feet. That means if in every new year we are going to use 1500 BCF of our gases, then our reserves are going to be depleted within the next 13, 14 years. That's a real threat to the energy security in Pakistan, because in Pakistan, we are relying more on the gas, not only through the primary energy supplies, but also in the electricity mix as well. Total energy production 1.924 quadrillion BTU, consumption 3.44, shortfall is 1.52. So it's proved that we are not on the right track, and there is a serious threat to our energy security because our future and present energy demand is not meeting by our own resources. And the shortfall is always met through artificially, through imports. So more imports, more risk on the energy security, more risk on the economic security, more risk to the supply chain as well. So the shortfall situation is telling us the story of the insecure situation in Pakistan. So this is the Pakistan's electricity mix, the holistic view of today's electricity mix. And you can see that LNG constitutes 19.66, it's imported. Coal, 12.8, most of this coal is being imported right now. Hydro, that's our key competitive advantage, is just 26%. So thermal side is 68 point something. Hydro is only 26%, and renewable energy, as I mentioned, is mere 5.36. And let me tell you, the 50% of resources are imported. So our reliance on the imported resource is growing with the passage of time, and that's a very critical factor. Okay, see the deteriorating situation of thermal hydro symmetry. As I mentioned, hydropower has been the competitive natural advantage of Pakistan. By the year 1985, very plausible situation, 33% thermal and 67% hydro. But in 1997, it's reversed, it's 63% thermal and 37% hydro. And this gap is increasing. I'll be telling you why it's happening in the next slide. Okay, this is the situation. You see the red marks and blue marks. Since 1990, the red is growing rapidly. That's thermal. And blue is squeezing sharply. That's hydro. And it's mainly because in 1994, we started the IPP regime in Pakistan, and all IPP projects were thermal. Our policy with respect to hydro IPP actually miserably failed. That's the one good reason. And secondly, in 1997, the WAPDA itself was unbundled, and we constituted different entities like distribution companies, generation companies, NTDC, solely for the purpose of privatization. Privatization never happened, and WAPDA, in its small position of managing the hydro resources, failed to develop new resources. So that's the institutional failure very much evident from this slide. This is the most sustainable power mix for Pakistan. At least hydro must be 38%, your wind and solar must be 22%, and your thermal should be 40% based upon your own local resources and the hydrocarbon exploration. So this is the best target that we have to pursue in future that suits the given situation of Pakistan. Okay, the connection between energy security and sustainable development. I mentioned about the definition of energy security. What we mean by sustainable development? So the most beautiful definition is from the UN's Brundtland report. They featured an article, Our Common Future, in which they actually explained the sustainable development. It's a development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generation to meet their needs. Now, compromising the ability signifies actually the constraining factors I mentioned earlier. So that's the line where the concept of sustainability meets with the concept of energy security. If you apply this definition on the energy, it means you had to meet your energy demand in such a way that there should not be bad impact, cost impact, ecological impact in future. So that's the way. And secondly, this definition is actually telling us how to shape our response against the critical issues of energy security and unsustainability. Okay, so how can we manage it? The challenge in Pakistan, okay, 65% reliance on imports right now. We have to create indigenized energy economy. 2.5 trillion circular debt. That means there is no commercial sustainability. We have to have commercial sustainability in the power sector of Pakistan right now. Electricity rates, highest in the region. We had to make it affordable and predictable energy rates. Power mix with high thermal side, we had to create a sustainable power mix. Supply demand completion or complexities, yes, these are there because there are no clear figures of demand, and so that we are unable to meet our demand sustainably. And secured supply against increasing demand. High carbon energy economy, we had to decarbonize the energy economy. 29.7 AT&C losses, commercial and technical losses, a robust and modernized T&D structure we have to create over here. RE share, just 6%, it has to be 30% by 2030 or 40. Low efficiency energy systems, a culture of high efficiency we have to create. And finally, unstable policy structure, everybody criticizes, we reverse the policy so frequently, and we need a stable and coherent policy structure. Approach should be environment, society, and economics. That's the global approach we have to follow. Key drivers are the profit, people, and planet. We have to maintain a balance between the profit, people, planet, and create a symmetry between tri-dimensional sustainability, social, economic, and ecological. Role of renewables. Okay, if you follow the track of renewables, it's actually provides a chance of import substitution. It's the indigenized economy. There are no emissions pollutions. More local jobs will be created through renewables. Pricing stability is more in the prices of the renewable right now. Flexible scalability. I mean, in solar, you can create a plant in your home and as a solar park as well. That's a scalability and flexibility you can only provide in renewable energy right now. Tariff advantage. Let me tell you, surprise you. Solar and wind are the cheapest tariff in Pakistan right now. It's less than, wind is less than 5 cents and solar is 5 cents almost. So we actually rationalized from 15 cents. Right now, the last tariff approved by the NAPRA around 5 cents or less than 5 cents. And then the local manufacturing. And then the and export margin. We can create a local manufacturing industry in Pakistan for renewables. And finally, this is the picture I think everybody should envy. This is the picture of our potential of solar photovoltaic in Pakistan. In my time when I was Alternate Energy Development Board CEO, at that time, the World Bank, I asked World Bank, and the World Bank developed this solar map. This is actually showing you the solar potential across Pakistan. I see the Balochistan is almost red. The highest potential of solar is available across the country, but specifically more in Balochistan. This is the wind map of Pakistan. You see the red and orange areas. This shows the plausible wind corridors in Pakistan that we had to exploit. The Jampir wind corridor in the superhighway, we only done 1300 megawatt, possibly, but its potential is around 35 gigawatt that we had to still to exploit. And this is again a good news for this forum, that we discovered these 5 to 6 new wind corridors in Balochistan. And these are the same areas where solar potential is there. So you can create a mixed and hybrid system of wind and solar in these 5, 6 newly discovered corridors of Balochistan. And now, finally, final words. In order to attain energy security, now we had to shift our approach. The first, we had to have integrated outlook on these things. That means you had to see the water issues, fuel issues, electricity through a single lens. You had to have an integrated approach. And secondly, policy and planning. You must set target rightly for yourself. You had to have a right forecast of demand, and you must address those targets in time. And thirdly, the roadmap towards execution. You noticed in my presentation, the institutional failure is very much starkly evident from there. We have to have a right side of institutions who should be able to address these issues and challenges. Thank you very much. And all this we can do through a collective responsibility, your suppliers, your regulators, your consumers, the government. We should all be one place and address these challenges collectively. And last thing, sustainability through believing in the peaceful coexistence. Now, the concept of COVID, the concept of climate change is telling us that the energy and climate issues cannot be constrained within a single territory. So we have to have a common platform to work together and be very respondent against the budding criteria, the budding concept of the global energy security and sustainable choices. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Please have a big round of applause for Engineer Amjad Ali Aman. Ladies and gentlemen, now is the time to honor our keynote speakers. May I now request Ms. Julie Erkman to please come forward to honor our first keynote speaker, Dr. Mushtaq Memon, in a huge round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Environmental Energy Sustainable Development Conference. So we are basically honoring our honorable keynote speakers with sustainable material. The shield that is going to be presented by Ms. Julie Erkman is made of porcelain material, which is ecological and sustainable material produced from Nasarpur, Sindh. May I now request our another keynote speaker, Engineer Amjad Ali Awan, to kindly come over the stage and please receive your shield. Have a huge round of applause. May I now request Professor Dr. Suhail Ahmed Sumro to kindly come over the stage. He is the conference chair. And please give away the shield of keynote speaker to Ms. Julie Erkman. Have a huge round of applause. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, madam. Please, you may continue now.
Thank you. Our next keynote speaker is Dr. Fahim Chacher. He is the Chairman, Electrical Engineering Department in Sakhar IBA. He will be delivering his keynote speech on electric vehicle infrastructure in Pakistan, the challenges and opportunities. Please welcome Dr. Fahim Chacher.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum. So thank you very much to you all, the organizing committee of EESD, especially to the conference secretary, Mr. Fahimullah Sheikh, for inviting me here. So I'm the head of Department Electrical Engineering, and we have the Center of Excellence that is named as a CRESC, Center of Research in Energy and Smart Grids. So recently we have been doing quite a bit of research in a few areas of energy. And this forum is very much relevant to showcase some of our expertise in work, which is done on EV charging infrastructure. So I will be briefly showcasing you the scenario, the transition, as by worthy two other speakers. They have already shown the need of the transition and need of the hour to go for the transition in energy. So without wasting much of ado, so here the Iram Asra, I must acknowledge her contributions. She is RA in this center. So with an introduction, so we will go through the comparison of electrical vehicle. Everyone knows that these are the coming in, and we hear this is buzzword nowadays. And I will go through the publicly accessibilities of EV chargers and latest development in the EV technology, and then the chargers, their technology, power flow from the grid to the wheels that we'll talk about, and EV infrastructure, that is the classification and scenario in Pakistan, and energy vehicle policy of Pakistan, which is approved recently. And we will showcase some of the initiatives that we have done at the CRESC. So electric mobility, we are seeing is the forefront. So in the energy transition, we are seeing energy transition in every sector. So in the energy generation, we are going from coal, fossil fuel. You heard the earlier speaker talking about the thermal to hydro, thermal to nuclear. And similarly, we in the transport sector, we are trying to move and shift from the fossil fuel to the EV sector. So currently, the China is leading this scenario, and followed by the Europe, and Norway is the other country who is leading in all. The projection for the EV to take up is almost 58% of the vehicles will be converted into EV by 2040. So this is very good projection that we can see. And we are also having the expectation of consumers that they want to see their vehicle, the charging time is must not be more than an hour. So reducing the charging time to 20 to 30 minutes is a really challenge, and that we need to address. Another thing is the mileage issue, that range anxiety happens when you are driving EV normally. So the range must be at least 400 kilometers. That is viable for any EV. So if I just compare these two technologies, fossil fuel vehicles, you see the carbon emission, that is almost 2.2 billions of the kg per year in a fossil fuel vehicle. And that we are assuming that 0.5 million EVs on the road. So this is a rough assumption that we are taking. And fuel consumption is said that is 0.96 billion liters per year. So this is what when we are using the fossil fuel vehicles in our transport system only. And then the EV, if we are using that, we can avoid 1.7 billions of the kgs per year of the carbon, and also get the 0.68 billion liters of a year or the of the oil that can be saved. And we also get the saving of 46.32 billion of PKR that we invest and try to import the oil from other countries. So, as I said, the accessibility of the charging station is a big challenge for the adoption of EV. So if we look into the scenario of publicly available charging stations throughout the world, we can see still there are two, if we divide the charging station into two broad categories. So we can still see that one category is the slow chargers and other is the fast chargers. Slow chargers are ranging somewhere between 4 hours to 10 hours, and fast, I mean that is below 1 hour or half an hour or so, the full vehicle charging time. So in the slow charging, you can see that China is leading, and almost 50% of these publicly available charging stations are in China, and rest of the country is still trying to develop that infrastructure. And in terms of fast charging, again, the China is leading 82%, and rest of the world is still trying to make this happen. So the accessibility of the public charging infrastructure is one major constraint in the adoption of EV. So latest development in EV, we can see there is in the period, if we compare from 2010 to 2020, so battery technology and manufacturing has made great advances. So battery technology is the key, and it has developed and enabled us to go and think in the EV as a reality. So in today, the battery offers higher power densities and energy densities at a fraction of the price that per kilowatt that we had. So it has reached from 1,100 to $156 that has been achieved. So battery technology is really helping us, and most of the available mass market EV have a range of more than 320 kilometers with an average capacity of 44 kilowatt hour. So this is one of the key development that has happened, and that is making the EV into a reality. And if we talk about the charging, then in conventional charging, we can see there is 50 kilowatt chargers that are available. And this is from the Nissan Leaf that has the 80% of the charge time, state of the charge in roughly about 30 minutes. So in 30 minutes, you can charge this vehicle. Another is the 62 kilowatts by the Chevrolet will take up to 1.6 times longer. So charging time really matters here. And this can translate as into the home charging, that is a slow charging, as a 60 kilowatt hours pack would take 32 hours to recharge as a full. So 32 hours, like it will take almost 2 days to charge the vehicle in full. So these times can be reduced by installing the fast chargers at home, but additional cost of $2,000 to $4,000 is yet with additional cost. So that is undoable for any single person to have that fast charger in their homes. So what to do? So growing interest in the EV architecture. So what we can do is getting the voltage range, which is higher than the existing range, from 450 to 920 volts. That will require the modification in the battery, modification in the existing EV charging infrastructure. And we can also get the promotion of 800 volts configuration in our EV that can help us keeping the cable size same and going for the high charging and power capacity. Now, if we talk about particularly the charging infrastructure, we can divide broadly into 3 categories. As I already said, level 1 charger, which is having the kilowatts of from 1.4 to 3.3 kilowatts in a range, and its voltage is 120. Its time is somewhere around 10 to 20 hours. This is a critical. So charging time has always been critical. And level 2 chargers, which are 240 volts and having the power capacity of 5 kilowatts to 19 kilowatts, and full charge time is 4 to 8 hours. And then this is a level 3 charger, which are DC chargers that can that ranges between voltage ranges between 200 to 500, and we can get power ratings from somewhere from 50 kilowatts to 120 kilowatts, and charging time reduces to 20 to 30 minutes. That is something realistic, and especially when you are traveling from one city to another city, you can break over for a coffee or for a drink or prayer break. You can plug in your vehicle, and if that is available on motorways and other spaces. So if we talk about these grid infrastructure, how they will be connected to the grid. So grid infrastructure is same. We can get the power generation from the energy mix that we earlier speaker talked about. We can have our mix. And then we have the charging types, which are AC as a single phase, which having onboard chargers, and AC as a fast, which is 3 phase, and also this DC type of charging station, which we talked about as a level 3 chargers. And in classification, if you see, again, we divided onboard and offboard and AC and DC. So there are a number of specifications or standardization that has been done. So there are different standards which have been mentioned by the different agencies. They have been followed. So if we look into this SHEDEMO, which is a standard of the charging connector, that is being followed by the Japan and other big countries. And then another one, which is SAJ1772, and which is followed by the USA. And there is a European standard. There's a standard which is followed by the Chinese, and there is a standard which is this Tesla superchargers are following. So this is again a one challenge, that there are number of different standards that are being followed. So which way to go ahead? There is a lot of need of standardization in terms of connectors. If we get a vehicle from one country and your local charging stations are from other type of the connectors, then you might face this challenge. So scenario in Pakistan, already tailpipe emissions are 43% of the total airborne pollution, and we have been declared 7th most vulnerable due to the climate change. Much has been talked about. I will not talk much about that. And this is the EV policy that has been approved, and 30% is the target, that is to switch from the fossil fuel vehicle to the electrical vehicles by 2030. So very ambitious target it is, but it requires some prereqs. So there are some initiatives that has been done. There are companies which are moving in. There are some number of charging stations that has been already installed by PSO, by the other companies. They are shipping in. So moving on, we can just see the readiness over here. So you can see two-wheeler, the EV platform is already ready, battery technology is ready, motor is somehow ready, and all other systems are ready for 4-vehicle. We need still the battery technology that we are requiring in our country, and all other ingredients may be somehow ready. We can look forward to 2030, a vehicle that can be available with us. So charging infrastructure requirements are a few things that I will move forward to the actual thing that we have developed at this is a charging station that we have developed at Sakhar in the crash center. So I can show you the few glimpses which are there. So these are the different parts that we have tried to assemble, and did a little bit of R&D and develop the PCB. And this is the solid state transformer that we have used for the isolation purpose. And this is a conclusion that this market is going to be reality, because we have seen the policy is shifting towards that. But what we need is a well-established and well-spanned network of the charging infrastructure, with the two equally important aspects of the adoption of the EV technology. Thank you very much. So reference and any question. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Fahim. Onwards, we have the online key presentations. The first online key presenter is Professor Muhammad Haziman Wen Ibrahim. He is an associate professor at Department of Civil Engineering, Malaysia. He has also served as Deputy Dean, Academic and International Faculty of Civil Engineering. His research interests include concrete technology, construction materials, brickwork engineering, recycled waste materials, durability of concrete, and forensic engineering. He will be delivering his keynote speech on eco-friendly hybrid interlocking blocks for sustainable construction. Please welcome Professor Mohammad Haziman.
Okay, thank you to Mr. Chairman, Professor Dr. Shiraz. May I share my screen first? Okay, can you see my slide?
Yes.
Okay. First, I would like to thanks to the organizer, Mahira University of Engineering and Technology, because inviting me inviting me as a keynote speaker for this conference today. And I also like to congratulate to MUET for successful conference today, 6th International Conference on Energy, Environment, and Sustainable Development 2022. Okay, I'm Associate Professor, Technologist Dr. Muhammad Haziman Wan Ibrahim from Faculty of Civil Engineering and Environment, University Tun Muslim Malaysia. Today, I would like to share a little bit my information about the eco-friendly hybrid interlocking blocks for sustainable construction. Okay, sustainable construction means using renewable and recyclable materials when building new structures, as well as reducing energy consumption and waste. Okay, from this we can consider that the primary goal of sustainable construction is to reduce the industry's impact on the environment. Okay, for sustainable construction, also known as a green construction, is concerned with the economic, social, and environmental impact of creating a usable structure. Okay, during the construction phase, sustainability is one of the aspects of green building. Okay, so the trend of sustainable construction encourage the use of green materials, environmental friendly and energy saving solution to minimize the impact on the environment. Okay, so for green building materials are composed of renewable rather than non-renewable resources. Green material are also environmentally responsible because impact are considered of the life of the product. Okay, interlocking blocks. Okay, interlocking blocks is a way to build strong wall without mortar. So actually, interlocking block is a mortarless block system. It requires less skills and also reduce construction time during installation. So the traditional block, actually we need a mortar to lay the block during the construction. But for interlocking block, it is the mortarless block system. Okay, interlocking blocks are manufactured either in the form of ordinary polycemic concrete interlocking blocks or compressed earth block. For earth block, normally we no require burning process. Okay, at a high temperature. Okay, normally, if you want to produce a block or brick, we need to fire with high temperature. But for interlocking block, not required any burning process. Therefore, compressed block is a cost-effective and sustainable construction materials, which has potential to bring durable and affordable homes to developing countries around the world. This is the example of the housing that we construct, that we develop using interlocking block. Okay, the appearance very nice, very natural, cool. Okay, because the main material, the main ingredient, the main material for this block is clay. Okay, so very nice view. Okay, this house in Malaysia. Okay, this also another example of the house which construct using interlocking block in Malaysia. Okay, the problem when we use interlocking block using when we produce interlocking block using soil, because the main material for stabilized compressed earth block are sand and soil, so which it is scarce and depleted, hence it is unsustainable. Okay, so if we use this material without control, okay, this situation will affect the environment and also ecological system. So the utilization of the materials from the industrial waste is an option to reduce the environment impact from the waste, and also will reduce production cost of these materials. The accumulation of waste created serious problems. For instance, palm oil waste, okay, like palm oil fuel ash, palm oil clinker, and also quarry dust waste cause environmental pollution, harm soil, water, plants, and cause land scarcity. This material not only affect the environment, okay, but also the health of people. Therefore, the application of this material as an alternative materials in block production is a good solution, and also the ways how to make construction project more sustainable. This is the waste material on site. This palm oil waste. Okay, this one we call as a palm oil clinker. Okay, this one palm clinker. This one is a palm oil trunk. Okay, just the industry just dump this waste on the landfill. Okay, before they use as energy sources. Okay, this from the waste material, when we use the waste material like the shell or fiber as energy sources, we can produce palm oil clinker and also palm oil fuel ash. Actually, palm oil clinker and palm oil fuel ash is an industrial byproduct from the palm oil mill, which is obtained after burning the solid palm oil waste like the shell and also fiber to generate energy. Okay, this byproduct of palm oil can potentially help preserve non-renewable resources and enhance the sustainable environment and economic characteristic of the construction industry if used as alternative construction materials. Okay, this is a palm oil fuel ash, and this one another waste palm oil clinker, both from palm oil waste. This is a palm oil clinker and also palm oil fuel ash, okay, which dumping just around the factory, okay, without any further use. So this will disturb our environment. Okay, this is a palm oil clinker. Okay, palm oil clinker actually is a byproduct, as I mentioned to you earlier, produced through the burning of palm oil waste to generate energy. Okay, it is light, okay, solid, porous, okay, flaky, and also irregularly shaped with rough and spiny broken edge, having the potential. This material having the potential to be utilized as a lightweight aggregate for concrete when crushed. palm oil clinker also as a lightweight aggregate has an advantages in diminishing the dead load of concrete structures without much loss in the strength of the structure. Another one is a palm oil clinker powder. Actually, it's a palm oil clinker powder also based. The main material is a palm oil clinker. Okay, this material actually produced after we grounded using the grinding machine. Okay, palm oil clinker powder recently used as a filler in the production of sustainable and environment-friendly lightweight concrete. This is our original POFA. Okay. In Malaysia, actually, POFA is abundant materials and has no economic benefit. It is accumulate in the field and cause ecological pollution and land scarcity. A lot of researchers at the moment focus their efforts on treating POFA to reduce the particle size and increase the surface area in promoting better mechanical properties for concrete. Actually, POFA will POFA will containing high concentration of silica between 44 up to 60% if the original POFA fired with high temperature up to 1000 degrees Celsius. Okay, this material actually could enhancing the durability of concrete and contributes to the high strength of concrete and denser concrete. Okay, however, the original POFA, like I show you here, has low pozzolanic properties due to its large particles and porous structure. Okay, so in producing interlocking eco-friendly interlocking block, okay, I use this original POFA to replace clay. Okay, this one is a quarry dust. Actually, quarry dust is a byproduct of the crushing process. In quarrying activities, the rock has been crushed into various sizes. During the process, the dust generated is called quarry dust, and it is also formed as waste. Actually, all I presenting here is a problem. Actually, problem is our opportunity. Okay, actually, problem is not a real problem. Problem is an opportunity. Okay, we can change trash to treasure. So the waste that we consider as a problem actually is our opportunity. We can change the waste to treasure. Okay, like I want to present here, we can change the POFA, the palm oil waste, okay, become as a valuable material, becomes block that we can use to develop our house. Okay, so through this, we can make a good business using the waste material or trash. Okay, this is a
Professor, can we finish it in 2 minutes? We are having shortage of time.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so this is a hybrid mix design that I used to produce eco-friendly hybrid interlocking block. This is the process, okay, how I want to produce the interlocking block, okay. This is a comparison between eco blocks and conventional interlocking block. Okay, the eco blocks that I have been produced from the waste materials. The color is dark color, okay, gray color. Meanwhile, for the conventional interlocking blocks, the color is brown. Okay, these are the properties of the block or of the block for fresh and hardened properties. So the density of the properties of the density of the block increase according to the age of the block. Okay, for the water absorption. Okay, the water absorption for the block also reduce. Okay, according to this mixture A5, A5 presenting the highest water absorption, 21.94%. Meanwhile, the lowest is the A double 11, A double 9, A double 11, 13.18%. So when we use this material as a main ingredient in producing the block, the water absorption of the block is lower than the control block, 24%. So this percentage consider reasonable and able to sustain in the normal environment. Okay. This one for the compressive strength of prism and masonry. Okay. The composition of the prism developed varied from 2.35 to 6.85 megapascal. Okay, 2.35 to 6.85 megapascal for the prism. Consequently, the composition of the masonry constructed using the block developed in the range from 2.87 and 8.36 megapascal. According to British standard, the compressive strength of the masonry constructed with block range from 2.5 to 6 megapascal. Okay. However, the strength of masonry also depend on the quality of block used. Okay. So as a conclusion, the development of eco-friendly hybrid block produced using locally available waste like palm oil clinker, palm oil fly ash, palm oil clinker powder, and quarry dust is feasible. The production process is friendly environment. The block properties in this research satisfy the relevant standard and show good performance comparatively with the conventional stabilized compressed block. They are lightweight blocks and can be used as substitute to the common building blocks in the building sector. The block produced in this research contributed to the energy and resource conservation. Blocking block systems are not fire, thus contribute to reducing the carbon emission. The block was eco-friendly due to the uses up to 90% waste material and 10% cement. Thus, ecological contamination will be significantly decreased. Saving costs and energy was found, thus there will be economical and ecological balance from this research work. So that's all my presentation. Thanks for your attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Haziman. Thank you for your valuable presentation. Our next online keynote speaker is Dr. Hassanuzzaman.
Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, can you see my slide?
Yes, Professor. So our next speaker is Dr. Hassanuzzaman. He is Associate Professor at Power Energy Dedicated Advanced Center, Higher Institution Center of Excellence, University of Malaya, Malaysia. He was listed among the world's top 2% scientists by Stanford University for the year 2019. His research interests include thermal engineering, renewable energy, energy and buildings, energy policy, transport, and electric vehicles. Please welcome Professor Dr. Hassanuzzaman.
Thank you very much, Professor Judil Ekman and Professor Siraj Menon. This is Dr. Hassanuzzaman, already introduced by the conference secretary. Today I shall try to share some information about the energy and environmental sector. What is the challenges and the prospect of renewable energy to overcome the challenges. The outline of the keynote speech is try to give some ideas about the global challenges, current challenges in energy and environmental sector, impact on energy and environment, key driver of energy. What is the key driver? Then we shall go for the renewable energy system, different type of renewable energies. Then today, as time is very limited, I shall try to give focus on solar thermal energy, especially, not for other resources. Then challenges of solar thermal energy. This is one of the potential renewable energy, but what are the challenges? Then solar thermal technologies, thermal energy storage and application. Then focus on research and development. What type of research we need to do and what is the focus? Then conclusion and summary. So the global challenges, the top 10 challenges for the next 50 years. You can see number 1 is energy, water, food, and number 4 is environment. So there are a good relationship between energy and environment. That is our main concern today. We shall try to discuss. We shall try to share some information. There are two types of challenges, not one side, both sides. One is demand side, another one is supply side. We need to overcome challenges from both sides, not single side. So energy in the demand side, if we see, this is the population growth and forecasting. And these are the energy consumption, right? This is also forecasting. So energy consumption. So population growth and energy consumption, there is a very good relationship between them. So what are the challenges here? The main challenge is how to reduce energy consumption or increase energy supply without compromising development and economic growth. So this is the two key issues here. One is we need to increase energy supply or need to reduce energy consumption. Then if we go back to the supply side, you can see more or less 80% energy come from fossil fuel. 80% energy come from fossil fuel. Then you can see out of 80%, more or less 80% energy consumed by thermal energy. It's some sort of heat or in the field of thermal or transportation or power generation. So these are the things that we need to think. So how to solve this problem? Then if we go again to see the reserve, the energy reserve, you can see until 2050, there will be this amount of reserve. And this is the peak period. You can see this is the peak period. Now, the peak production. After that, it will reduce. And if we do further forecasting or projection, so we will see this one is sharply reduced. That means after 2100, there will be no fossil fuel. So this will be the great challenge, how to solve this problem, how to run our industry without energy. So if we discuss about the environment or carbon dioxide emission concentration, so before going to that, we need to know the safe level of carbon dioxide. So more or less 350 ppm is the safe level in the open environment. I am not discussing about the indoor or other things. This is open, right? It's 350. What is the risk level? We are not talking about risk. This high risk level, 450 ppm is the high risk level. Now we can go, we can see what is the current level. You can see this is the current level of carbon dioxide. If we want to see more specific, according to 2080, already crossed 400 ppm. That means we are already in the risk level. So we need to be very, very serious about the energy and environment. So what are the challenges here? The main challenge is how to reduce emission. without compromising development and economic growth. This is our main concern. We cannot touch this one, but somehow or anyhow, we need to reduce emission. So how? There are, then if we do not take care about the environment, what will happen? You can see the impact. The temperature increase, ice melting. At the end, our health problem, agriculture, or other different type of problem will come. That will create a lot of problem. Then if we know all the things, so what is the future? What is the key driver of energy? So we need to think 5 type of information we need to gather. Number 1 is demand growth. We already discussed this one. Demand is growing. Then supply chain challenges. What is the challenges in the supply side? Then security of supply, environmental impact. So these are the 4 things that we have to consider for energy related project. Then what is the solution? Solution is this one, technology and policy. We have to think. We have to strategize. So what is the technology and how can adapt in our energy system? I just want to give one example. As for example, solar energy, as we are discussing today about the solar energy, solar thermal energy is still expensive. Later I shall discuss how much expensive compared to conventional energy, but how we can adapt. So different type of subsidy, FIT, right? So based on the technology and the capacity, we need to do some policy that we can fit the energy in the energy sector. So we know already. So different type of problem, right? So what are the solution? What is the solution for the energy sector? So there is no single solution or simple answer. So people are thinking in 2 ways. Number 1 is energy conservation and management. You can see here number energy conservation and management. The other alternative way is renewable energy. Renewable energies, solar, wind, hydro, whatever it is. So they are talking about the renewable energy resources. So here about the solar energy system. So solar energy, mainly 2 types of solar energy, just to give some basic ideas, because different type of audience may be here participate. So one is photovoltaic thermal, photovoltaic energy, another one is solar energy. Or we can combine it as a photovoltaic thermal, that where we can get both electricity and heat. So if we consider only solar thermal energy, we do not want to discuss about the electricity, just want to discuss about the solar thermal energy. How? So solar thermal energy in the industrial process heat. Time is very, very limited. Just I want to make it short. So industrial process. So before going to implement solar thermal energy in the industrial process, we need to know the processes and the temperature range. So you can see dairy farm, tin food, paper, textile, whatever it is. So different type of processes in our industrial process heat system. So you can see here. Then what is the temperature range? See the temperature range for dairy farm or food tins. These are the temperature. These are the temperature range. You can see. These are the temperature range. So as a summary, we can discuss about this one. What is the temperature range? So most of the processes, the temperature range is more or less 100 degrees centigrade, not more than that. Just few processes are more than 100 degrees centigrade. So most of the processes are 100 degrees centigrade, 100 degrees centigrade, low grade heat that we can easily produce from the solar thermal energy. That I shall discuss later on, what type of collector or how we can produce this type of heat. Okay, so here the
Yes,
solar
sir.
thermal.
Can we finish it in few minutes because we are having short of time?
Okay, okay, no problem. I shall try to finish. Okay, so solar thermal integration and solar thermal collector. So if we know all the information, we need to integrate it. Integration is one of the important factor. So there are two type of integration here. We know the process level and supply level. So we are not discussing about this one very details. Just this one different type of processes. This one is boiler, right? So we can replace this boiler by using solar energy directly. So what type of collector? This is depend on. So different type of collector here, right? The non-concentrating collector and concentrating collector. So different type of collector. Then you can see just this one I can omit. This type of things I can omit. Then solar thermal power plant, as for example, what type of collector? Later I shall discuss if I think no time. So okay. So this one collector, then how it works. Then this one, this collector produce steam. Then we can generate power. A steam turbine. Okay. Then challenges in solar thermal energy. What are the challenges? We know all the system. The main challenges is intermittency, issue of solar energy. Very intermittency. They are very intermittent. Right? Then you can see here, as for example, here, this is seasonal variation. This is seasonal variation. As for example, if we summarize, as for example, you summarize, as for example, this one January, June, July, you can see, even though not only there, so even though yearly there is a variation. So one is seasonal, another one is daily variation. The intermittency issue. Okay, so to solve this issue, we need to know thermal energy storage system. So these are the collector. So different type of collector. This one different type of collector. This one is storage system. Solar thermal storage system. So these are the solar thermal storage tanks, right? Thermal storage tank. And this one the different type of collector. Okay, so if we want to design the thermal energy, you can see so different type of collector, as for example, is 140 or 120 degrees centigrade up to 120. So this type of collector, evacuated tube collector, right? Advanced flat plate collector we can use. Or for number up to 80 degrees centigrade is normal collector, flat plate collector we can use. A different type of, right? If we need to do power generation or for power plant or high temperature, high pressure fluid, that means steam. So we need to use different type of high concentrated thermal collector. So different type of losses. I think time is limited, right? So reflection, convection, and radiation losses. If we summarize this type of losses, so we can get this type of losses in the solar thermal system. So if we summarize and draw a curve, so this one is collector efficiency or collector effectiveness, whatever we can say. This one, solar thermal energy efficiency. And this is more or less 20% loss for optical loss. Then this 80% out of 80%, this one depend on different type of, if the operating temperature high, the losses will be more. So this is depend on collector. So this one, right? So maybe this one, something like that. Some collector maybe something like that. Some collector maybe, this is depend on collector and the operating temperature. Okay, then thermal energy storage technology. So this is different type of storage system, energy storage system. You can see this one, the solar or thermal energy storage system already developed. This one, this is one of the potential. I am going to finish, sorry. Okay, this one, right? Then you can see storage, different type of storage, then how it, then storage, right? The solar thermal collector, thermal energy storage system, then heat to power conversion. This is working fluid. So heat transfer from here to there to heat up or cool down, whatever it is. So different type of processes. Then storage system, you see this one, different type of storage system. Sometimes we store heat here. This is storage system, then steam turbine or steam generator, or sometimes we can store steam in a tank. So different type of storage system we can use Then storage system and application. As for example, you can see the key application of thermal energy system. You can see demand shifting. Demand shifting, as for example, sometimes demand high, sometimes demand more or less, right? High and low. So how we can shift the demand? We can use this type of thermal energy storage system. Then variable supply integration, sector integration, seasonal storage, right? So different type of application we can use solar thermal system. Then integration, then range of tools that are available, policymakers seeking support to, right, to develop the thermal energy storage system. This is very, very important, right? Policy and planning, then planning and regulatory framework. These are the very important market structure and research and innovation. So we have to have a proper plan or policy. Okay, I'm going to finish, I think, within short time. Okay, the focus on research and development, as for example, we have to focus it. This is, you can see, the baseline, this one is baseline, then we have no option. We have to reduce anyhow the carbon dioxide. Then if we consider this on 50%, this amount, huge amount of carbon dioxide, we have to reduce. No alternative option. Then in sector-wise, how much we need to reduce carbon dioxide? 94% by 2050. We need to reduce carbon dioxide. Right? Then, as for example, how cost the solar thermal energy? So this is depend on different technology and collector technology as far as size of the power plant. So if, as for example, concentrated solar tower, this type solar tower, so this is the range. As for example, the operating temperature is very high, as for example 450 degrees centigrade operating temperature. So if operating temperature is high, so you see installation capacity Australian dollar per kilowatt hour will be this amount. So this is depend on, if this is small power plant, this one. If this one is big power plant, as for example 50 megawatt thermal power plant, this one will be the cost. So this is depend on technology and size. Okay, so these are the summary. So yes, there are many big challenges in the energy sector. So what is the solution? The green energy or clean energy or energy storage technology that can solve this type of issues or problems. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Hassanuzzaman. A huge round of applause. Okay. Our next keynote presenter is Dr. Marla Maniquez Redilas.
Hello, Dr. Mala, please unmute your mic.
Okay, it's good. Thank you. Yes.
Okay, our next presenter, keynote presenter is Dr. Marla. She is Associate Professor and Head of Hydraulics and Water Resources Division, Civil Engineering Department, De La Salle University, Manila. Her research interests include environmental engineering, water quality, diffuse or non-point source pollution, characterization and management control, and green infrastructures.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Ches, for the introduction and a pleasant, probably It's afternoon here in the Philippines, so there it's afternoon as well. So a pleasant afternoon to all of you who are there in Pakistan. For today, I would like to share with you one of the topics that's really currently getting more attention globally because of this is something that is we should apply, maybe we should adopt for the new normal and beyond. So this is what we call sustainable nature-based development or sustainable nature-based solutions. Okay, so let me begin with this report by the World Economic Forum. And based on this, okay, so based on the report, we can see the evolving risk landscapes and the long-term risk outlook based on 5 key areas. So first is the economic in blue color, the green is for the environment, the orange is for the geopolitical, the red is for the societal, and the purple is, or the violet is for the technological. And in the past 5 years, so we can see that most of the associated risk that we experience globally were linked into environmental. So which are some of the examples are the extreme weather, biodiversity losses, climate action, failure. We can also see here some human-made environmental disasters. So because of this now, the focus of our global community, the scientific community, is more on the addressing this risk. Okay, so even before the pandemic, even before the COVID pandemic, so we as humans and people are already doing some activities that could be harmful to our environment. And when we look at the relationship between the human activities and our environment and also climate change, we could see a very big difference. So like in this diagram on the right side, you can see the development process, the conversion of lands from natural ground cover into impervious surfaces, the creation of more buildings, infrastructures, more paved impervious surfaces could lead to disruption on our natural hydrological cycle, natural hydrology. And in return could produce or could result into many environmental problems, such as number one is, of course, water pollution because of the activities of people, and as well as also disruption in our climate. More extreme events we could experience that could result in flooding and other disasters, natural disasters. So based on the result of research in literature, so we could see this associated impacts related to COVID-19 pandemic on the environment. So the first one is still environmental damage is driven by human activity. So as the pandemic has limited our economic activity, so more consumption and movement, pollutant emissions and natural resources use have slowed, but the rate of environmental damage could fall in most areas. But the carbon dioxide concentrations in the atmosphere continue to rise, and there is an increased use of plastics, notably in packaging. So activities to conserve ecosystems and biodiversity have been restricted, leading therefore to increase in illegal waste dumping, hunting and logging. And as people lose their livelihoods, the increased poverty will likely lead more people to turn to unsustainable harvesting of natural resources, because people should find some ways in order to get more resources freely. So the lockdown has led to the postponement of vital negotiations, restrict communications as well, and especially in global environmental governance. And once the pandemic eases, the pressure on the environment will resume and risk being less constrained. So what should we do about these impacts? So this study was based on a review on many studies published in the literature in the past several months since the start of the pandemic. And based on the study, there were four thematic categories that were of major concern, okay, that could affect the cities. So the first one is the environmental quality. So that includes the air quality, environmental factors, and then also the water resources. The rest are related more on the socioeconomic impacts, management and governance, as well as transportation and urban design. So here, I would like to focus more on the environmental factors, water resources, and also the urban design. So as you can see, majority is of the published literature is mostly concentrated on the environment and the environmental quality. So these are this one is the summary of the major issues as revealed by the pandemics and the recommendations for post-COVID planning. So the first, for the environmental factors, there was an evidence on the association between the temperature and the COVID-19 transmission rate, which are inconclusive, but there are evidence association. And then when the wind speed is low, air pollution is likely to intensify transmission rate. So that's based on the air quality. And then second one is for the urban water cycle. So because of the people, of course, we need to do some hygiene, sanitation. Because of this unregulated human activities, these have resulted in the contamination of our water resources. And in addition to that, the drugs used for the treatment of the COVID-19 patients may pollute the freshwater resources, and also not only the drugs, but also the toxic and then some of the waste as well, like the hospital waste and others. Lack of sewage treatment facilities in poor areas undermines the effectiveness of lockdown measures. In terms of the urban design, the density alone is not a key risk factor to the spread of the virus, but some cities lack appropriate levels of green and open spaces to meet outdoor exercise and recreation demands of the citizens while fulfilling social distancing requirements. So these are some of the major issues, and some of the recommendations, major recommendations and implications are provided here. So improving, of course, number one is air quality. That's important. So we could address the issues related to the COVID-19, and also not only during the pandemic, but also for long term after the pandemic. Okay, in terms of the urban water cycle, so we have to design regulations to minimize the negative agricultural, industrial, and traffic impacts on water resources. And that should be prioritized for also not only for short term, but also for long term. And then sufficient disinfection of water plants, wastewater treatment plants, measures, and for the prevention of leakage, especially sewage leakage into our freshwater resources, are essential to reduce human exposure to the virus. And then, of course, lastly, for the urban design, better access to amenities, public health infrastructure, make high-density areas less vulnerable to pandemics, and also try to consider multiple other benefits of compact urban developments. Planners should continue promoting them, and more space should be allocated to pedestrian areas and open spaces. So these are the main summary. So now I would like to focus your attention into what we call nature-based solutions. So actually, these nature-based solutions were already being promoted since. So this one is during the United Nations World Water Day in 2019. The concept of nature-based solutions were already started long ago, but we have to strengthen and harness this one, because as you can see here, they have a tagline that says the answer is in nature. So this one, nature-based solutions, is what we call an integrated or a holistic approach, key for successful planning of the cities and also for sustainable development. So in nature-based solutions, you can see here, some of the factors or components. Number one is for the disaster risk reduction. Second is for climate change adaptation. Third is for environmental management, and also for the climate change mitigation. And when we talk about nature-based solutions, so this is an ecosystem-based approach. Okay, that could help a lot. Okay, so for healthy people, for the health of people, water coast, biodiversity, carbon sequestration, reducing impacts of tsunamis, landslides, sea level rise, floods, droughts, and also heat waves. So let us define NBS according to IUCN. So when we say NBS or nature-based solutions, these are actions to address societal challenges through the protection, sustainable management, and restoration of ecosystems, benefiting both biodiversity and human well-being. So they use the power of nature and functioning ecosystems as infrastructure to provide natural services to benefit both the society, people, and the environment. So NBS have prime potential to help address global challenges. So these are the challenges: climate change, economic social development, human health, food and water security, disaster risk reduction, ecosystem degradation, biodiversity loss. And not only for short-term benefits, but also for long-term environmental, societal, and economic benefits, such as this, including also adaptation to climate change and community resilience. So these are all of the long-term benefits, social, societal, and economic benefits. And as you can see, the interactions between climate change, people, and nature are very obvious. So you can see here that nature-based solutions are integrated into our environment, so that when people do something, like human activities that drive climate change, so the nature is helping us. So it means we are should work together with the nature rather than against nature. Okay, so that's the.
Sorry, can you finish it in 2 minutes because we are having short of time?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for the reminder. So now let me give you some of the examples of how we could apply nature-based solutions. So the first one is what we call low impact development. So we can incorporate these technologies in our urban environments, in our cities. These are some of the many examples of low impact development. So these are ecologically based land use planning approach that incorporate strategies that maintain site hydrology. So that's favoring soft engineering. So these are some of the examples: green roofs, rain gardens, rain barrels, tree box, grass wheels, permeable pavement, and others. So we can incorporate this in our urban landscapes. We can also convert the green infrastructure into gray infrastructure to green, and we can make a network of this together. So these are some of the many benefits of green infrastructure. And then some of the other examples are here. I will show you. This one is in China Grain for Green program. This is a reforestation program, one of the largest in the world. And then agroecological approaches in Cuba. So also they preserve the natural resources. Connecting cities through nature-based solutions in Germany. So landscape park. And then this one is in South Africa, working for water because, in South Africa, they lack access to water. So they invest on nature-based solutions. And then, of course, US has been practicing this one. So they have what we call urban forest, very popular in the recent years. And aside from the many benefits, so these are also linked to Sustainable Development Goals indirectly to sustainable SDG 1 and 2. And you can see these are the issues, the main issues, and these are some of the nature-based solutions. So it means that if we start applying nature-based solutions, we could, address also the Sustainable Development Goals, such as this. Green corridors, agroforestry, urban forests. And then finally, so to move on, so we are in the period of pandemic, and then we also need to look into the future, what will happen after the pandemic. So these are some of the key messages I would like to highlight here. The number 6, so nature-based solutions provide cost-effective approaches that could contribute to achieving a number of sustainable development goals. And then a growing range of nature-based solutions exist for which real-world experience and expertise are available. And then policymakers need to urgently explore the potential of nature-based solutions and seek to integrate them in their responses to COVID-19. So this is all. So I hope I didn't consume much time. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Dr. Marla, for your valuable presentation on this nature-based solutions.
Thank you.
Our next presenter is Professor Muhammad Khairuddin Arwa. Okay, due to some problem, we'll be forwarding next speaker. Our next presenter is Dr. Tawfiq A. Sumro. He's from Quest Larkana, and his topic is artificial intelligence impact on achieving sustainable development goals.
Everyone. Sorry. Assalamualaikum, everyone. So, first of all, thank you to the conference organizing committee to give me opportunity to talk on the very important topic, artificial intelligence, because everybody is hurting the words nowadays, artificial intelligence, because many peoples or many revolutions came from the 4 to 5 decades, but I must say this is a decade of artificial intelligence. Okay, so once I got the invitations as a keynote speaker for this conference, actually I'm working on the artificial intelligence related to the biomedical imaging. So I thought what should be an important topic for the audience, for the students as well as according to the conference. So nowadays, every project, either in the Pakistan's and in the Higher Education Commission or in the Planning Commission, it's related to achieve the sustainable development goal. That is a target to achieve by 2030. So what's the role of artificial intelligence in achieving the sustainable development goals? Next slide. It's not working. Okay, now it's working. Okay, thank you. First of all, the many people saw the confusing what's artificial intelligence. Actually, they are trying to make another human, artificial human. Is it not fact? Actually, artificial humanity is that they are developing a machine, the computer machine that perform a certain task or helping the human beings in their workforce and industries to achieve their targets. That's the main role of artificial intelligence. Okay, is the artificial intelligence, why it's so important? What's the important? Only China is the world's highest population. They have a $337 billion market just in artificial intelligence. And it's in the top 6 trends in World Economic Forum as well. It's important. Why it's important? Like we can take a recently example in the ongoing pandemic. Our education system is smoothly run by using the digitalization, by using the different AI techniques to make it smoothly. And recently we have to listen that we have a 4 GB data, but now our data is increasing. Our data is increasing. We have heard the one word, that is a big data. what's the big data is. Actually, that is increasing the number of volume because everything is digitalizing. Nowadays, which I'm simply asked, which is the top business nowadays? People are saying cryptocurrency. What's a cryptocurrency is? It is basically a digital currency. You do not have in a physical anything, Bitcoin, what? It's a digital currency. They are trending through the AI techniques. They are predicting. They have an experts. That is called the fourth industrial revolution. So I do not take more time. I should move to the AI roles in achieving the sustainable goals. There are the totally 17 sustainable goals. Okay. If we are saying that AI is for everything, why AI is for everything? Is AI creating the 80% jobs or companies? Is it fact? Nowadays, you are seeing that every company is moving to the digitalizations. They are preferring work from home. They are preferring to develop the jobs that's related to the AI. But what are the impact of AI in our society? All the technical standards are achieved by using the sustainable development goals. There are 17 sustaining development goals. It is not possible that every goal is achieved by the AI. There are some major contribution of AI, some minor contribution of AI. Again, it's not working. Okay. So this is the evidence that AI, Singapore self-driving taxi in September 2017, they haven't any driver. Just you book the ticket and the taxi will arrive on your designation and deposit you. That's a self-programmed taxi. And there's a big data labs and other in the pandemic, in the China, they have a curtains of the different visitors are different, but there is no human to serve them the timely email or whatever they need. They have a reports. They have a programming reports. They call the reports. It will come on their hotel room and serve whatever they need it, even in a water too. So this is the sustainable development 17 goals where the AI can important role, not in the all goals and no purity it can, because AI can be used to trace the where are the purity or where what we can use our techniques to end the purity or carry the company to end to give the jobs. So these are the major goals where the AI can play the roles. Like our first one, end purity, tracking purities, health. The main issues, the health is that there are these deadly diseases like a brain tumor, like a breast cancer, and like an eye vision loss. But the problem is that the existing techniques, that is the best on the injections or some drugs, that are the very dangerous to the initial stage. They diagnose the disease, treatment is in a second process. This is so much dangerous. Even the death can be happen. There are the many side effects. The scientists and medical specialists are preferring the computerized method, AI technique method to diagnose the disease at early phases so that they recommended the treatments. That's the main contribution of AI in the health sector. And other wells in the education sector, banking sector, they are but I'm related to the health one because I'm working on the three main areas to develop our techniques by using the AI. As we know that we have three main diseases. One is the brain tumor, that's another is the heart disease, cardiovascular psychological effects are increasing, and third is the eye visions. So I do not take more time, so just want to move my own work. This is the definition, and there's a video. Can you please play the video. Yes. The USB phone.
Vegan beings aims to live in this world. Can we imagine to live without the vegans? Simply my answer is no, and it's the answer of all of you. We are living in a busy schedule. In this busy world, our health is affected with many diseases, such as hypertension, diabetes. And diabetes is a disease that affects the geometry of eye blood vessel that causes a vision loss. So this disease is called a diabetic retinopathy. And the patient know about the diabetic retinopathy when they have a vision loss problem. So it's very important to monitor the progress of a diabetic retinopathy for proper treatment. According to it's one of the health challenges. According to World Health Organization, it estimated that people with the diabetes in 25 years will be increasing from 125 millions to 350 millions. So, and 70% of those people belongs to the developing countries, and Australia is one of them. So the current perceptible, the diabetic retinopathy has an eye disease. A patient of a diabetic retinopathy have a monthly schedule to visit the ophthalmologist or eye clinic for proper checkup. Current perceptible is based on the injection that's called a fluorescein dye that injected in patient blood vessels to observe the disease progress. But that injection have many side effects. So even the death can happen. We researchers and medical specialists to move this system to the computerized. We develop a computerized system to capture the image without injection, and the ophthalmologist analyzes the effect and give a proper treatment to the patient to save the vision. This research can be commercialized in the medical imaging companies, can be commercialized in the ophthalmologist clinics, can be commercialized to the research schools in the world to make such a methods, develop and give a computerized methods to fast so that ophthalmologists can recommend the patient for proper treatment and quick treatment. Thank you.
Okay, after this video, the main challenge is we have an image by the injection, that's the left side one, the vessels are not properly observed. But we are developing our algorithm that based on the AI techniques or the subfield of AI techniques that are machine learning or a deep learning and capture the vessels that has much better accuracy as compared to the injected images. And luckily we have got the pattern also, and it's commercialized, used in the Malaysia and Cal Hospital, and it's in under pattern in Australia. So after that, we are targeting other sectors of AI by using other machine images. Like we are working on the brain tumor detections, breast cancer detection. Breast cancer is one of the deadly disease. It's ranked at the number 9 in the world, deadly disease. So, but the main challenge is currently we are working to implement the mobile applications so the rural areas can take advantage to capture the image, send to the ophthalmologist. They use the software and propose the technology. But recently we are facing the challenges because it's very hard to convince the medical specialists, especially in Pakistan. So, but we are trying. That is everybody cannot achieve all 17 sustainable development goals. Each sector is developed based on your own research expertise, as we are working on the health sectors. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tawfiq Sumro, for your valuable presentation. We have our last keynote speaker, Mr. Muhammad Khairuddin Arwa.
Not connected. He was disconnected. Q&A दे लो. Q&A. Question answer. 10 minutes Q&A.
Again, some network problem and he's not connected. Any question from last keynote speaker from the audience on artificial intelligence? Yes. Dr. Tawfiq, can you come on the dais?
Yes. Any question?
Any question? There was a hand raised on the side. Okay, you said, sir, okay, you are facing some challenges in this artificial intelligence, especially in Pakistan. So can you explain more about the challenges of this current technology in Pakistan?
Actually, we are working on the different sectors. We are initially targeting the two sectors. That is, one is agriculture, smart agriculture, smart farming, and other is the health one. The main challenge in both sectors is conveying the people they are in these fields. Like in agriculture, mostly we have the landlords and the farmers. We are saying that we are developing some experimenting by using some sensors to make it smart farming. It's very difficult to convince them, even the forest department. But luckily, we got one collaboration in Sin Forest Department and writing some good proposal to Sin government, even overseas also we are trying. In health sector, especially the doctors, they do not want to came from their comfort zone. They are using the existing machine they are using from 5 to 6 decades. Even I am the son of the father. Even my father is a doctor too. He's a medical doctor. But it's very hard to convey them that why you are using this old type of machine just to move to the software base or don't use such injections for the patients. So our health system needs a lot of improvements. So we are targeting the good hospitals like Aga Khan, and even the Yakup National is not so much cooperating. Aga Khan is that, South City. These are some good hospitals. They have enough fresh doctors. So they are trying to collaborate, but their administrations even refuse to meet with us. But if in different scenario, we try overseas. Like in Saudi Arabia, our two projects, one is a breast cancer and retinopathy. I've got the fund approval, just the approval is remaining. We got initially funding like Pakistani 25 lakhs. We are working on it, and now we are applying the funding that's the 6.5 Saudi riyals. Even China is cooperating. So in current scenario in Pakistan, we are feeling difficulty for conveying these peoples. So because they are just even saying that this is not working, this is not a project to work in hospital, you should go for the open your software houses. So it's a big disappointment, and it's really a big disappointment being working in such a modern technology. If we are seeing the other worlds, like developed countries, they are every years moves to be the advanced technology. They are interconnect the biomedical engineers with the hospitals. The biomedical engineers are working in the medical industries in hospitals, but our biomedical engineers was very hard to get a good jobs in Pakistan. That's the fact. But we have a lot of scope. We need and right leaders, right academia persons to convince these peoples to accommodate our scientists, our researchers, to promote, to give us a better health treatment.
Okay.
Any other question?
Any other question from the audience on the latest topic, this artificial intelligence?
Because now everybody heard the Elon Musk. They are in this week trying an experiment to build a small chip in the human brain. First, they have to finish the experiment on monkeys. They have conducted successfully, but they are trying on the human beings. They are saying that if we give them a talks, this chip person can perform these talks 10 times faster than the normal humans and take a proper rest, having no any side effect on health also. This experiment will be going to be performed in this week. And it's one of the big revolution in AI.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, madam. So this was the end of plenary session. We had 7 speakers in this session. Unfortunately, 1 speaker was not connected due to technical reasons. Now, may I now request our honorable session chair, Professor Dr. Julie D. Aikman, to kindly come forward. Please, madam. May I now request our keynote speaker, Dr. Fahim A. Chacha, to kindly come over the stage and receive his shield of honor. In absence of Dr. Fahim A. Chacha, may I now request Dr. Masroor Abro to kindly come over the stage and receive his shield. Okay. Please, sir, come on the stage and receive your shield. In a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. May I now request our another keynote speaker, Dr. Tawfiq Esumru, to kindly come over the stage and receive his shield of honor. May I now request our very own Professor Dr. Shaheen Aziz to kindly come over the stage and present the souvenir of Ajrak to our honorable session chair, Professor Dr. Julie D. Aikman. Have a huge round of applause. She came all the way from Turkey. Madam is also requested to present the souvenir of Ajrak to our session secretary, Professor Dr. Shiraz Mehman. Thank you, madam. Thank you, sir. So, ladies and gentlemen, this was the end of our plenary session. Now, all the dignitaries are requested to kindly move outside the auditorium for the lunch. and all the participants are requested to be seated for a while. Ladies and gentlemen, right after the lunch, we'll be having three sessions, three parallel sessions. The session one would be proceeding here in this main auditorium. Session number two would be in room number 2 upstairs, and session number 3 would be in room number 5 upstairs. With this note, all the participants are requested to kindly move outside the auditorium as well. Thank you.